Mary's Blood is a band that I've been wanting to kind of talk about pretty much since when I started this channel. I didn't know how to really go about it, or didn't really have a lot to really say, but I did want to at least say something about this band. So, they are all Japanese. It's a full girl band, as you can see from the photos. So the full band are made up of females. They're from Japan or China or one of them locations, and yeah, they play heavy metal, and they're kind of in line of baby metal. So with baby metal, obviously it's foreign. They speak a different language. Same as Rammstein. Rammstein speak German. Baby metal, it's Chinese or whatever. And it's the same with Mary's Blood. All the lyrics are in Chinese or such, and you can't really understand what's being said unless you actually speak the language. So, yeah, basically the sound of the overall band, the song that's being played at the minute is off their second album. So the songs that you're going to be hearing is off their second, as well as their newest album, which is their third album. I don't think they have an album after that. So they have a sound which is pretty heavy and pretty quick as well. They have a lot of speed to them. It's very ferocious and very quick. And as for the singing, even though the voice is good, this is kind of where I kind of have a problem, and it may come across maybe a little racist, but I do think it makes enough sense to not be racist. And that is basically, it sounds like a lot of nonsense, a lot of mumbling. Now, I know she is actually saying words. It is cohesive. The lyrics all make sense. It is, a proper language. She's saying proper words. It's all proper sentences, everything makes sense, but because I do not speak that language, I can't make sense of any of it. Therefore, for all I know, it could just be a lot of nonsense. I wouldn't be able to tell if one of these songs she actually wasn't singing in any language and it was just random noises. I wouldn't be able to tell. So that is the thing. It does come across as nonsense to me. I am aware it isn't, but that is what my ear hears. I can't understand what is being said. Therefore, I just hear a woman's voice that sounds perfectly fine. It's not one of the greatest voices, so let's get that straight. It's a fine voice, but it doesn't have a lot of varieties to it, a lot of kind of ranges. It's just one of these kind of standard voices. She has her range, and then she usually kind of sticks with that. But yeah, when she's singing and everything, it's basically all I'm getting is basically just the sound and the pitch. That is all that is working with me. Just sound, pitch, not the word she's saying, how she enunciates, because I can't tell. So when she's enunciating some words, putting emphasis onto a certain word, I can't tell why she's doing it. It doesn't make sense to me because I don't know what she's saying and what she's conveying, and why there is emphasis and why there won't be emphasis in other aspects. None of that is going to make any sense to me. So that is a problem with Mary's Blood for me, and probably some others. I know many will probably be able to just shrug it off and just go, well, in a lot of metal music, you can't understand what is being said because there is so much ranges going on and pitches, vibrato, that the kind of lyrics and words can get a bit lost under the amount of strain and insanity that is going on with the vocalist, which yeah, it is true. There are bands out there with singers. Even Bruce Dickinson, one of the world's greatest metal singers, there's some songs, I don't know what he's saying, when he really goes off on one and starts belting things out. I just don't understand what he's saying, but it does sound epic. But even if I don't understand what he's saying, I still understand that it's English. It's not so far gone that it could just be anything. He could just be saying cock, dick, I like sex with dicks in my bottom. Like, I would pick up on that, somewhat at least. So I do understand the English language, even if I don't understand the exact words, I will understand that it's English. This, I just don't. So, even though it is a good voice, a lot is kind of lost, because if you like, lyrics and what they mean, and, singing around the lyrics and words that you are doing, and then changing it up depending on what's being said, that is all lost. It is solely just basically tone, pitch, and just, that is basically it. It's all you got to work with. As for the rest of the band, what you have is, as I said, mostly heavy, very fast. They don't really dive into melody. It is mostly just really heavy, really quick stuff. The production can be slightly messy, especially with the second album. The third album, the production does get a little better, but it is, especially in the second album, quite tinny in sound and a bit slightly mushy, because everyone's going pretty quick and they're all kind of together, so things don't become very articulate. Because the problem with speed is getting that articulation across. If you're going so fast and there's everybody going so fast, everything kind of starts melding into one, and it's really hard to distinguish what's what. So that is the problem, and it's pretty much the overall problem with the band. So the problem is the lyrics. You can't understand them, therefore it is basically tone, pitch. It's all you got to work with. And as I said, the singer kind of just has her style, and that is it. She doesn't have a lot of range to her. She has some, minor aspects where she can take her voice in a certain aspect, a different place, but it's not, anything, grand or very different. So all you have is a voice that is just, what you got is a pitch that all kind of sounds the same. You've got no lyrics to really work off of, and therefore knowing the emotion of the song, the meaning. So you got nothing to kind of change that up. It is solely pitch, and when it all kind of sounds exactly the same, it becomes quite repetitive and bland. And the same thing carries over into the actual band. The band sound very repetitive. They have the problem with Dragon Force, kinda. It is very, very quick, very fast, and always pretty heavy. So musically, it is pretty repetitive and starts to become kind of bland. But the odd song can be interesting, which is why occasionally I do listen to Mary's Blood, because they have an aspect in this band which I really, 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 really like. It's not something incredible, but when you hear it, it is talent, and it is great showmanship, and something really incredible to kind of witness and hear. So, what is it? This person right here is the reason why Mary's Blood is probably as successful as they are, and why I also like this band, somewhat at least. This girl is the lead guitarist of the band. Actually, I think she's the only guitarist. And I think she actually has a signature guitar by a company I've never actually even heard of. I don't know if it's just a Japanese company or something, because I have never heard of them, and the guitar does look very weird, therefore it could be a signature. I know in her country she is pretty big and famous, kinda, but it is mostly kind of just her country. Mary Blood is just kind of big, there. They're not really well known anywhere else. But this girl right here is the reason why I like her. Now, I could explain why, or I could have her show you with the song that actually wowed me. So, I'll play you a clip of her basically showing how good she is, and is probably one of her, if not greatest, solos, and the first solo I actually ever heard of her. Now, wasn't that just incredible? Now, the image that was played there is actually her playing that solo live, and you can actually find it on YouTube. And I do recommend it because watching her hand move is an unbelievable blur. And I'm not actually just saying that as, oh, Shred looks like a blur, but actually you can see it. No, literally, it looks like someone's just took the video and then basically fast forwarded it. It looks like her hand is in fast forward motion because it looks so hilariously not normal. It is so insanely fast how quick her hand's moving. And the stretch of her hand as well looks like a bloody spider. Actually, not a spider, a tarantula, a massive spider on the bloody fretboard. Her hand is just stretched unbelievably far, and the speed is unbelievably quick that you can barely see what she's doing because it's going so fast. And again, it just looks like someone's just sped up that section because it looks too hilariously fast. That you just kind of sit there like, that is so, it has to be fake. But it isn't. It is basically her at some kind of guitar place in front of an audience just doing some run-throughs of some of her songs. And it's someone recording her on a phone. And she plays the whole song, gets to that section, and belts the thing out. So if you go on YouTube, Mary's Blood Counter-Strike guitar playthrough, it should be there. I do know, I think the videos are actually in her language, so it's hard to find which one Counter-Strike is. And she does play a few other songs, but Counter-Strike is there, and that's the song with that solo. There is actually two solo parts. The first part comes after the second chorus, which is fast within itself, and you probably think, wow, that was very quick, but it's nothing like the actual solo, which is just blisteringly quick. So, yeah, she is insanely fast, and I think actually Herman Lee even knows her, and I think they've played together. And I think this girl is actually way faster than Herman because I've never seen Herman do anything that quick. But this is the thing which is actually her biggest cripple and downfall. It is that she is so fast. Now, her being that fast is not a problem within itself. It is great that she is. I loved that solo. I really like seeing her do that because it is just so incredible that she can do that. It's very, very difficult. You have to be so brilliant and so intricate with what you're doing in order to nail all of that. She's going so fast, she could probably mess up a ton of things and no one would know because there's so much going on and so many notes to cover up the note that she may have missed. But if she nails all of it, holy hell, you have to be so accurate and in time and be able to get all of it in the time frame. It's just so much talent and, you know, so much respect for her in that she's able to do that because literally I think she's one of the fastest guitarists on the planet. But with that, if that is all you have, then the question is she really a good guitarist? And that's the question, really, with this band. And the band overall, each member, you have a singer who sounds pretty repetitive in her tone and everything because she's not varied. It is a pretty similar tone and pitch that she uses. Yeah, the beat can change. There can be more of an up tempo, a bit more of a slow, broody kind of tempo and everything to give a bit of variation to what is going on. But overall, it is quite similar, which badly kind of affects her. So you have a voice which is, kind of repetitive. And because, it is in a foreign language, you don't understand what is being said, what is being spoken about, how she's using her words and things like that. So the lyrics and the language do play a big part in songs. Pitch and tone obviously is a massive aspect of it, and if she had a lot of variation, it would really obviously help. But, lyrics do play a part. Even though people say, well, it just depends on how good a singer is. It's not about the lyrics, it's how good her voice is. And yeah, that is true, but I think lyrics actually help you understand the voice a lot more. Personally, that's what I think. I could know how she's using her voice and her words because her voice can sound nice, but if it's a lot of mumble jumble things, to me at least, as well as others who don't know the language, you don't really know what she is doing with her voice. You don't know what's happening. It's hard to tell why she's singing like that, what she's doing. So it really does kind of limit the experience vocally, which, it's not her fault. It works perfectly fine with where she's singing. It just basically means that the rest of the world who knows the English language will really struggle and be quite limited with it. And then as for the rest of the band, because I do know some people, a lot of people like Rammstein and Baby Metal, and they're completely fine with that kind of singing. But the band itself, as I said, they lack melody, especially in that second album. That second album is always heavy, kind of intense, and very fast, with solos that are mostly pure speed. So as you're going through the album, you've got a voice which tone and pitch, all pretty similar. Musically, things are going fast. Next track. It's fast again. Next track. It's kind of fast again, or it's heavy and it's brutal, or maybe it's not fast now, this intro or verse riff, but it's still a bit beefy and tinny in sound, and it's just, there's not a lot of variety, and it kind of dulls the experience. And with the guitarist, like, she is incredible, don't get me wrong, but there is so much more to the guitar than pure speed. And that's the problem with a lot of people. Like, a lot of people who listen to metal, and guitarists themselves actually, think speed is the be end and end all of things. And it really isn't. If Joe Satriani or Steve Vai, Paul Gilbert, if all of their signature stuff, and heck, even Buckethead, if all of their albums were all about speed, they wouldn't be as big and incredible as they are. Joe Satriani's song Crying is beautiful and emotional. Steve Vai has emotional stuff, and so does Buckethead. Variety really, really, really helps the experience. It's just a bit dull when you just basically get a lot of the same thing. It gets repetitive. They've obviously had the first album, which I haven't really gone that in depth with, but it's basically along the same line. And even the new album, the third one, the third album does have a bit more of a focus on some more kind of upbeat stuff, something more with a groove and something a bit more catchy. And even the guitarist herself. The second album is just blistering stuff. And with the third album, her solos, again, blistering stuff. But she seems to be a little bit more refined. She does seem to have a bit more restraint, but again, it's something that she doesn't seem comfortable with. So, on the third album, there can be solos like are not really overly that fast. She does actually try and use a lot of melody. It still has speed incorporated in there in probably every single solo of every single track on the third album, but there is definitely melody. I would be lying to say there is no melody in her solos in the third album. There is, and it is used a fair bit. It's not just the odd track, it is a fair few of them she tries melody. But the problem is, when you are so intense and gifted with speed, and that is all you kind of are, trying to do something different when you've been doing the same thing a lot is going to be very tricky and difficult to get out of. It's basically like an addiction. It really is, probably. It's Herman Li and this girl here are always playing fast. It's what they love. They are so insane about it. Herman Li constantly says, going fast is so much fun. I can't not do it. It's just fun. It's amazing. I love playing that way. I don't like melody. It's so boring. I have to play fast. I just have to. It's irritating not to. Herman Li has actually said that. And it's probably the same with this girl, just trying to do something different when you have just been so focused on that. It's gonna have to be like trying to wean yourself off and everything, and it's gonna be so difficult not to want to go fast, and it's gonna seem slow, and it's gonna seem dull and boring because your mind is so fixated on that speed. So although this girl here definitely has more melody than Herman just doesn't bloody bother. This girl does try, and she does have melody to her, and a better tone than Herman, and a bit more variation even with her speed. But when she slows down, it does seem that she's just lacking that kind of thought pattern, the kind of mindset that a guitarist would have who knows melody. She seems a little kind of lost and confused with it. So there is a bit of a problem with that. So, yeah, basically summing the whole band up, you do have a decent singer and you have an incredible guitarist that in the long run becomes quite limited and actually probably not a great guitarist, no matter how fast she is, or even if she is the fastest guitarist on the planet ever. There is so much more that the guitar can do that anyone who has variation will be a better guitarist than her, no matter how fast she can be. Which can be an utter shame, but it is an experience, and that is the best thing I can say about this band. They lack variety. They lack probably songwriting as well as great musicianship. But what they do have is an experience. Mostly because of the guitarist. Actually, probably just the guitarist. But it is an experience. And that is what they have going for them. And that is why I wanted to discuss Mary's Blood with everyone. Because the female guitarist is a very interesting experience, especially when you see her YouTube videos when she goes into a solo, because it is absolutely jaw-dropping watching her perform. But other than that, it's not really a good band to listen to. It is pretty dull. But the one song I think you'll be very pleased with. So I'll see you in the next one, guys.